If you frequently suffer from negative thinking and all those bad thoughts and all the associated anxiety and depression and doubt, worry, fear, etc., you're not alone. It's really typical, and I'm going to share with you why we have all that stuff and why we have to suffer from that stuff, but I'm not going to leave you hanging. I'm also going to give you a 6-step process for clearing your mind so that you can experience peace and positivity instead. And if you stick around through the entire video, I'm going to give you this really unknown trick that will instantaneously clear your mind of all thoughts like that. Been there before. It's 1 o'clock in the morning, you're trying to get some sleep, you have an early start, and you can't turn your mind off from all the negative and bad thinking. Or you're just trying to get through your day, get to the very end, but you're distracting yourself all the way through with social media and crappy TV shows and bad choices and junk food, but you can't tear yourself away from those bad thoughts, and now you're experiencing all this anxiety and this dread and worry and panic and anger and everything associated with feeling less than peaceful. This kind of thinking is literally deteriorating our quality of experience and our entire livelihood, but it was for good reason. Back in the day when we were a caveman or woman, we had to have those bad thoughts in order to keep us safe. We were not at the top of the food chain, so when we would leave the cave to go get resources, to go hunt and find food and water and supplies, there would be a lot of environmental threats that could end our life very quickly. So before taking our journey outside of the cave, we would have all these bad thoughts to kind of prepare ourselves to fight or flight and hopefully not freeze in the moment and then end our life. But the bad thoughts, they were really necessary. They kept us safe. They kept us considering all the bad outcomes and possibilities so that we could avoid that stuff. But here we are now at the top of the food chain, and we have a lot of convenience, a lot of luxury. We have running water, and we have shelter and food and all this stuff literally at the tips of our fingers, and we don't have all these threats. But our mind still functions in the same capacity. It's still trying to find threats ahead of time so as to keep us safe and alive. That's its very job, but it's not necessary anymore. There's some good news here though, because you are not your thoughts. You're more like the divine conscious awareness that is like a current flowing behind that stream of endless thoughts there. The reason that's good is because we can cause a separation. We can develop what's called self-realization with our true self, where we are watching or observing that endless stream of thoughts and then really expanding and deepening and making more frequent that experience of observing our thoughts from that place of conscious awareness. Basically, we can retrain our mind to think what we want to think and then feel the associated feelings that are empowering, inspiring, positive, peaceful, etc.
I know Kung Fu.
So through developing a mindset of that awareness, we are basically freeing ourselves of all those bad thoughts and all the egoic thinking, and then we're just feeling really good about who we are and the life we're living. By the way, if some of this stuff is a little bit over your head or you need some clarification, feel free to ask some questions in the comment section. I may make a video entirely on your question, and also if you could, please give this video a thumbs up as a token of your appreciation. It would mean the world to me. So how do we retrain our mind? How do we associate ourselves with the self-realization and watching that thought process? We do it with these 6 steps that I'm going to provide to you to help free yourself of the bad thinking, to clear your mind and find peace and presence instead. Imagine if you're on a health and wellness kick and you needed to clean up your diet, really clean it up. What would you do? You would clear out the pantry and the fridge of all the junk food, go to the store, and then replace all that with healthy food instead. You would then start consuming the healthy food, and given a little bit of time and momentum, you'd start feeling a lot better about yourself. That's exactly what we're gonna do with our mind. The negative thoughts is the junk food, our mind is the fridge. So step 1 is to observe. You are that divine conscious awareness, so when you drop below the emotional well-being of peace, you feel anxiety, stress, panic, worry, depression, sadness, anger, frustration, impatience, etc. You have just dipped below peace and you are now upset. Your task in that first step is to merely observe yourself experiencing that and monitor what you're thinking. It's kind of like taking yourself out of the situation. Like if you recalled a memory and instead of reliving the memory in first person, you kind of see yourself going through the steps of the memory in bird's eye view. That's kind of what you're doing, watching yourself thinking about this experience. Step 2 is to reward yourself. I will literally tell myself, good job, Joe, for catching yourself. Now we have the opportunity to center in on peace and presence. And this is exactly what I teach my clients to do as well. And when I say reward, don't just say some robotic thing, good job, Joe, for rewarding yourself. You want to feel it. You want to feel that emotion. You are retraining your mind. You are transforming your entire experience, your mind, your entire life. You should feel pretty awesome and proud of that fact. So feel that emotion of gratitude already for doing what you're doing. Step 3 is what I call centering. You're going to take 10 deep breaths here using your diaphragm, okay? Try to breathe through your nostrils and then ask yourself, what am I seeing? What am I touching, or what is touching me? What am I smelling, and what am I hearing? Basically, you're taking an in-depth analysis of the current moment using all of your senses. We're trying to disrupt any kind of thinking pattern by tasking our mind and our brain with this. Find out what's going on and give me all the data and all the information you possibly can. And it takes itself from thinking all the bad thoughts and transitions into this space of now get all the information for the environment around us. You ever hear that saying, there's 2 sides to every story, or there's a flip side of that coin? Well, that's what you're going to do in step 4, to flip. Whatever you were thinking that is negative, ask yourself, what is the direct opposite of this negative consideration or thought? And find, locate, discover, or create a positive thought instead. Just go from darkness to lightness there and create that positivity for yourself. So if I'm thinking all bad about myself or another person, I'm going to think all good about myself and that person instead. Step 5 is to imagine. You're going to close your eyes and you're actually going to visualize yourself in first person experiencing that positive thought instead. So if I had a job interview that I thought, oh my God, I'm going to totally mess it up, I'm not going to get the job. And then I asked myself, well, what's the positive side of that? What's the flip side of that coin? Well, I'm going to do really great and I'm going to get the job. I'm going to close my eyes. I'm going to see myself in my suit. I'm going to see myself going into that job interview and feeling really confident and having a really good time, feeling super composed and eloquent and comfortable and feeling like I absolutely crushed it. And that brings me to step 6. You're going to feel it in that visualization by trying to embody the authentic emotion of gratitude. It's a supremely positive emotion. And why are we feeling gratitude? Well, because we're experiencing this really positive, awesome thing. We're imagining it, and it really feels like we're experiencing it in the real. The subconsciousness does not know the difference between the imagined and the real. So what we're doing is we're actually giving ourselves a healthy dose of positivity and something for our mind to think about, something to calm our mind and be like, we don't have to find the problems. We don't have to find the threats. We feel really good. We feel really confident and secure. And then we're banishing out that negative thinking and bad thoughts through positive emotion and thinking instead. So when you find yourself suffering from negative thinking and bad thoughts, plug away with those 6 steps. And you're going to have to repeat that time and time again, but you're going to notice that you're reprogramming your mind just like anything. If I want to get really good at yoga, I have to go every day so that I can notice that accelerated growth. With this, it's the same thing. So give yourself some grace, write down the steps, put them in your phone, take a screenshot or put on a little note card. And when you find yourself dip below peace, bust that out and use that little cheat sheet to take yourself above it and beyond into gratitude. And I did promise you this really awesome tip to instantaneously clear yourself of bad thoughts and negative thinking. This is what you're going to do. You're going to take a nice deep breath, and as you exhale, close your eyes. Then ask yourself this question: what will be my next thought? And after you ask that question, I want you to observe the space, that pocket of silence after you ask the question. It's basically like calling our ego's bluff, saying, well, you're sitting here thinking all these thoughts. Great. What's your next thought? and there is no response but silence and quietude and peace and tranquility. If you want to keep up your momentum and elevate yourself into reprogramming your mindset and your thought process, be sure to check out these videos as well. They are phenomenal for helping you out. Thank you for tuning in. My name is JhN, and I will see you next time.